Prayer is really something quite intimate to each one of us, and I want to share a few thoughts on prayer. And even to say that I'm going to do that, it seems in some ways presumptuous, and as if prayer is a separate entity from the rest of my life, from the rest of my being, which it isn't. I think that the desire to pray and to become prayer itself, they're all graces, so they're all gift of God. So perhaps what I can say is some of the things I find are a sort of a threshold or a pathway for me to in some way be more receptive towards those gifts. So one of the things that I have found very helpful is gardening, and being in the garden helps me to centre down and to be still. It's very difficult to be anxious or to be going over things in your mind, challenges or worries, when you're gardening. It just seems totally natural to calm down, slow down, and just focus on the particular task in hand. And in some ways, I find gardening is a gateway into prayer. By gardening and slowing down, and then perhaps if I would afterwards come and sit down and just look out on the garden, perhaps rest for a while, I find that somehow one's more able to receive what the Spirit is offering at that time. And so I wanted to share particularly a recent experience of prayer that I had, which led to being inspired to write a prayer stroke poem. This was for a friend of mine that I had accompanied through end of life care at home. And during that time, I had been gardening a little in my own garden and planted about 100 tulip bulbs, reflecting on how glorious they were going to look next spring, and thinking about Anne, knowing that she wouldn't be here to see that and enjoy that, really led into a whole process of pondering and praying and reflecting. So I want to share the prayer for Anne with you. A prayer for Anne. I am one of many, a little bulb in God's garden, blessed by the touch of my Creator, a touch which remains upon my soul. And in his breath, which I now breathe, he gives the promise of a fleeting epiphany. I am buried so deep where the world is hushed, in darkness and in silence and stillness, imbued with his goodness and grace. I am reaching down silently, deeply, to source the hidden strength where true beauty is concealed. In time, I sense his presence, inviting me to come to him. He calls me by name, and at the sound of his voice, I am overwhelmed by desire. I cannot remain hidden. Reaching upward, my spirit soars, Liberated from earth's strongholds, I reach towards the sun. My petals open in beauty, forming a chalice. The tears of angels and saints bring me refreshment, that I may pray, thy will be done. Angry storm clouds gather to threaten my way. A strong wind blows against me to prevent our promised union. I am bent in resistance, my roots securely anchored. I place all trust in you. I feel you near as you robe me in colours of your choosing. And I offer up my fragrance, which rises like incense at dawn and at dusk. And thus is revealed in my very being a glimpse of your glory, an epiphany. Earthly moments pass swiftly. Enveloped in prayer, I now relinquish all. My mother's gentle hands return me safely to you. To silence and stillness I have been entrusted, hidden in darkness, remaining deeply rooted, awaiting the warmth of the sun until he calls my name once more, to be transfigured in glory forever. All prayer is a grace. The desire to pray, actually praying, and becoming a prayer. They're all gifts of God.